Welcome back to another recording, another episode, another part thereof, Warriors of Destiny. Okay, let's start off with reading one of the journals. Entries again. We've done day 1, we've done day 2. Let's have a look at day 3. Sorry about that noise, if you heard that. That was Coco scratching a box, thinking that she might be able to do a scratching post type of thing. Anyway, a shriek of pain awakens us after only a few hours of sleep. Meridian utters an oath followed by two eerie sounds, and a grisly scene is revealed. The knight Gerasi is standing unsteadily, slicing her dagger at 6 great worm that swarm around her. 6 great worm. That's singular. You want a plural. Rearing up to strike while deftly evading her dagger. Her left arm is held against her chest in an attempt to staunch the flow of blood from a gaping wound. Lord British raises his staff and utters an incantation. A deep chill descends momentarily, then the 6 worms forget their prey and assault each other with unreasoned fury. Must be a confusion spell. Meridian magically draws out the worm's poisonous venom. We quickly bind Gerasi's arm, gather our gear, and resume our journey eastward along the southern wall. Only 2 worms remain writhing in combat as we depart. After the wall finally curves to the north, we take passage out of the cavern to the northeast. The trail is rocky and wide enough for 3 to walk abreast. The twins, Noin and Ruin, bring up the rear. The first to notice the large winged creature with matted brown fur and sharp unsheathed talons. When we stop to look, however, it flies off. Half an hour later, we notice 2 of these creatures. Both fly off again as we turn. An hour later, 3 of these creatures approach, flying closer than the previous forays dared. Before veering off, we quicken our pace. The passage empties into a large grassy area with high earthen ceiling. As we stop to rest, a deafening crescendo of screeches heralds the invasion of a dozen winged monsters. The avian terrors attack in force. Armor and skin is ripped from our backs. Our swords swing and our daggers fly, but to no avail. Only 2 winged monsters are wounded and finished. The remaining 10 circle us furiously as Lord British shouts out words of mystic command. 4 more attackers are destroyed, but many more of our prey have fallen. Party has fallen. As I fight, I see Meridian from the corner of his eye. He crawls out of the fray and raises his arm. Before he falls, he gasps 4 words. A great flame breaks out between his outstretched arms and surges forth one by one. The last of the nightmarish creatures is consumed with flames. The largest bat spirals to the ground and its burning carcass crashes next to Meridian's corpse. A memorial fire to our great archmage. Okay. Well, I can tell you what they were, although it might say later on somewhere within the game. Anyway, let's get back to the gameplay, and I'll probably explain that while I narrate. Adios, amigos. Okay, in this episode we tend to die a lot. As you probably can see, we did end up getting a lot of equipment and so forth. We had a lot of run-ins with Shadowlords, which of course we can't even fight at the moment. One of the problems with this game that we had was when you come straight into it, the creatures are too strong, to be honest. Even something as simple as rats. And here I'm trying to get my skills in reading the runic language a bit better. And something as simple as headless is even too hard. I mean, if there was like 1 or 2 rats, that's easy. But when there's like a whole pack of rats, like up to 8, it gets pretty difficult. And of course, getting money to get the strong armor that pretty much require is very difficult. And it seems like for every level you get 30 health. So, and considering there's only 80 levels, so that I only get up to 240. That's without increasing stats, of course. And at the moment, I'm just talking to everyone in Britain and the settlements around Lord British's castles. Then I decide to go over to Dungeon Spies. Then I go into Britain again and die from the Shadowlord. And peruse settlements and Lord British's castle again. Yeah, this is where I got the word of power for Dungeon Spies, actually. So I could actually go over to Dungeon Spies and open it. And I head down to Trinsic. See, 2 of those trolls were fine. Probably ogres, actually. But when it comes to, like, I managed that at least. Now, of course, every time you enter a town, guards will more often than not ask you to pay a tribute kind of thing. Otherwise, they arrest you. 1 Zorn and I die. Of course, if you don't pay the tribute every week or so, I've got another word of power for Dungeon to Start, I think that was. I don't know. Can't remember. And yeah, don't pay the tribute, you get arrested. Those were trolls. So getting your levels up is pretty difficult. Now, of course, at night it makes it very difficult because there are a lot more creatures at night in larger packs. And of course, I sell my armor and weapons and whatnot that you collect. I mean, you do find quite a lot down another word of power, or it might have been the same one. There, I found some hidden area. Oh, not so much hidden areas, I don't think. And there you go. Of course, I head back to Trinsic. There's Dungeon to Start. I couldn't open it because the word of power was for Dungeon Shame, I believe. Of course, I try to find out more information about what I need, what I don't need. Yes, there's a lot of dying in this episode. But I did manage. This is where I found Gweno, Iolo's better half, and I try to free some people. Hopefully, I did quite a number of side quests. Of course, I learnt of the resistance here, where it's based, and so forth. Oh, I picked up Jana. I think I picked her up in U. Oh no, that would have been Moonglow. Should have been anyway. I didn't see us go over to Moonglow, so must have been U or someplace. Yeah, Empath Abbey. This is no Magentia, New Magentia. That was. This is Scarabray. That's that last person I was talking to is a recluse. Knows everything about humility. And I picked up Julia. And as you probably know, they started off at 60, so everyone starts off at level 2. Every time you die, you lose experience, and therefore, you lose enough experience to go down in levels. That's the flame of truth or love. Truth, yeah, because this is Moonglow. This snippet is about 10 hours long. 10 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds long. As you can see, these Shadowlords are a real pain. But I learnt that there's 3 Shadowlords for the 3 principles. Finding more stuff. I did try a lot of things to try and get more words of power for the other dungeons. It's not so easy. By the end of this episode, I'll have 6 words of powers, 2 passwords, and one name. This guy here knows all about the Shadowlord of Hatred. And here's where Vesper would have been. So some sort of calamity happened around Vesper, which turned the whole area into desert. And I believe I visited 4 shrines. I managed to save up quite a number of hints. I even managed to get a message from Froward to Greymarch. Froward's the child on Scarabray, and Greymarch is the father in Trinsic's third cell on the third cell from the left. In order to get to the other shrines, I need to find a boat. Well, buy a boat most likely. And that's $910 is the cheapest I've found so far. There will be quite a number of pauses through the game. Yeah, Moonglow again. And the Lyceum. Yeah, I visited as many towns as I could. I did everything in a sort of randomized fashion. But I can tell you that the dungeons look well worth it compared to the old, very old method. And this is where I learnt of the resistance password and what I need to do for the resistance. Later on, I'll learn about the oppression, which is the opposite of the resistance. I believe I need to do both sides to get the final words of powers. But that's also a guess. I believe I free these guys. Try to get some pleading in for these guys. That's Grey March. That's gives me one of the words powers. That was guards asking for tribute, which I couldn't pay, which then they arrest you. And of course, I resist arrest as much as possible. There's still one child that I need to talk to the mother of, who knows a word of power. But I can't figure out who or where that is. I thought it was here at U, I think it is, maybe? Or Trinsic. No, Minoc, probably. The lighthouses are an interesting feature as well. Yeah, I did a lot of sleeping, waiting for certain moon gates to open up. And you can leave your companions at taverns and so forth, but they cost money per month, X amount per month. I also found out in Minoc that there's a dude that has skull keys that opens up magic doors. This guy's difficult to deal with, but sometimes you gotta speak in reverse. He's looking for something, but he doesn't say what it is. And when you ask him about the word of power, you've got to tell him what dungeon. And that's the dungeon of the town that they're in. So in Jalom, it would be Destard. That mage was in Jalom. Again, just more wandering around and dying. The number of times I've died is unreal. There's lots of information from these people, but not a lot of it's useful. And trying to get certain information from each person is like extracting teeth. This is where I learnt about the Shadowlord of Hatred, not hatred, falsehood. When you get an empath to learn about the Shadowlord of Hatred, they just refer you to that gargoyle in the desert where Vespa used to be. And I haven't been able to get the name of the Shadowlord of Hatred out of him yet. I'll show you the things that I have accomplished. This is where I learnt about the little boy in Scarborough. He asked me to give a message to his father, Grey March, which I did with all due diligence. So most likely the next episode is going to be me trying to level up and get gold, which isn't going to be easy. Because in order to accomplish a lot of the side quests that I have gathered and visit the other shrines, I need a boat, and I need to improve the armor and so forth. Yeah, this is where I learnt the Shadowlord of Falsehood. It's very annoying that after a battle happens, you don't just get back to the main screen or back to the main map. You have to walk out of the screen. And the shrine that was supposed to be up there is no longer there. They'll probably need a boat to go visit that one. This is where I spent time trying to get information of the Shadowlord of Hatred. I got very frustrated with trying to get the name of the Shadowlord of Hatred. But I did find out where the Shard of Hatred is. I've got some lead on where the Shard of Falsehood is as well. I've got to speak to the twins in Cove about it, but in order to get to Cove, I need a boat. And of course, boats don't seem to crop up like they used to from pirates. There was one child in Minot who had a mother that works in a poorhouse there, but she didn't seem to know the word of power. It's a child that works at shipyard. Oh, wow. And yeah, the mother works at the poorhouse, and well, there must be another child that works at a shipyard who has a mother that knows something. I haven't found out where that is yet. Haven't been to every little orifice. Uh, the wells in the game are more or less wishing wells, so you can wish for certain things, and that's how I got the horse, or wished for it. Of course, I don't know how to hitch it, so yet. So basically, I lost the horse. And of course, the moon gates have changed as well. More or less, all the moon gates open up, just the destination changes with the moon phases by the looks of it. I've still yet to get back information about the moon gates. There's a side quest where you go talk to the guy in Geelong about the moon gates. And of course, whenever you go into a moon gate, exactly at midnight, or around midnight, I dare say, you go to the Shrine of Spirituality. I must have walked away here. And there's a gypsy in Moonglow, which is where we're at the moment, and even the child helps us. Got some hints. But yeah, every time you meditate at a shrine, it tells you to go read from the codex about a particular anti-virtue. And that's where the skull keys are, in that tree in Minok. And they allow you to get into magically locked doors, which differ from regular keys, which allow you to jimmy regular locks. And there's a magically locked door, which I got through, so. But yeah, as you should be able to see, the critters are a lot stronger. And this is where I got the password to the oppression and figured out where to go for the oppression quests. And this is Dungeon Despise, I believe. This is me trying to get some levels up. But I get overwhelmed by a bunch of bats. Which are, again, simply too strong for what they are. Now, let's have a look at things that I have accomplished. Don't worry about the top portion. They're just letters and in-game runes and other bits and pieces that I use to build the rest of the image. I've got the words of power for a lot of them, not all of them. And that's 6 there, and one name of the Shadowlords, and the Resistance password, and the Oppression password. And a lot of hints to still try and figure out what to do with. So that concludes this episode for now, and I'll